This game had only one player, yet the man kept playing it for 11 years. But on the very day he cleared every stage, the game world actually became reality, and a mission panel appeared in front of everyone. It demanded that all humans clear the first floor of the Tower of Trials within 90 days, or mankind would be wiped out. As the only person who had ever beaten the game, I knew exactly what I had to do first. I had to hurry and get that piece of gear. Soon, I followed the game's storyline to a shopping mall, clearly remembering that here lay an outer zone of the tower hidden in plain sight. Once I entered the treasure area, a crowd had already gathered. They had all played Tower of Trials to some extent and knew well that only 5 items would appear here, which meant the fight was guaranteed to be brutal. Just then, a voice interrupted my thoughts. It was David, a representative of the company I had signed with, a two-faced man. He knew I had played this game and wanted me to share my experience with him. But I wasn't about to treat him kindly, since he had always exploited his subordinates with unfair contracts, and I was one of his victims. David didn't notice my anger at all and kept rambling, saying he could sneak me through the back door in exchange for a better contract. He had no idea that this only pushed me over the edge. I slammed my head into his nose, demanding he show some respect when speaking to me. 2 of his teeth were knocked out, and he clutched his mouth, wailing in pain. I have to admit, it felt satisfying. Though I wanted to beat him further, now was not the time, because that thing was about to appear. Sure enough, in the next moment, a blinding white light shot into the sky, and a towering tree emerged before the crowd. On its branches grew 4 crimson fruits, just like in the game I had played. This was the Crimson Greed Tree, and each fruit granted its user different attribute boosts. But there were only 4 of them, so competition would be fierce. Soon, everyone rushed forward to fight for them, some even resorting to violence. I, however, stayed put, because only I knew where the true treasure lay. Quickly, the fruits were snatched away, and at that moment the Crimson Tree launched its attack. The unlucky ones were struck and sent flying. Someone suddenly remembered that once all its fruits were picked, the tree would lash out indiscriminately. As cries of "run" filled the air, I recalled dying here 50 times before. Everyone scrambled out in panic. In the chaos, I called out to David, who was trying to flee, and told him that the real treasure was about to appear. Though he had doubts, seeing me stand my ground eased his worries. He asked me what to do, and I pointed to the Crimson Tree's head. Acting alone would make us easy targets, so I told him we had to approach from both sides to confuse its vision. I warned him again to follow my lead, or we'd both be doomed. David swore confidently, insisting he wasn't a rookie. With a shout, I charged ahead, dodging the tree's attack, only to realize David hadn't followed the plan. He stood back, smirking, clearly intending to use me as bait. Just as I expected, his nature hadn't changed a bit. Luckily, that made him the real bait. Sure enough, after I dodged another strike, David didn't react in time, and a vine lashed out, binding him tightly with no chance of escape. His arrogance vanished as he cried for my help, but I ignored him, almost wishing for his quick demise. With a scream, he was crushed by the vines. Then, several more vines whipped toward me, but I knew their angles perfectly. As I dodged, 2 of them collided exactly as I calculated, rebounding and stabbing into the tree itself. The trunk split open, revealing a blood-red heart, the 5th treasure, the Crimson Core. Just like in the game, to obtain it, one had to bait the tree into striking itself. I grabbed a branch and forced it to yield the core. Since the Crimson Tree was a treasure guardian, it didn't grant experience points, but it would allow me to stay ranked for a day on the Storm Island leaderboard. Suddenly, the tree grew violent, swinging its roots wildly, then unleashed its skill, blood-sucking vines, engulfing me. Even as a veteran, I couldn't dodge them all, so I blocked head-on, deflecting some with my branch though one slashed my cheek. No matter how many times it changed attack patterns, I predicted them flawlessly. I had practiced this countless times. Unable to touch me, the Crimson Tree switched to defense, releasing a swarm of sleep butterflies. They spread sleep powder into the air, but I quickly covered my mouth and nose. As long as I held my breath, they couldn't affect me. Dodging its strikes, I rushed forward, gripped my branch, and leapt high, plunging it deep into the Crimson Core. The one-slash tree withered instantly into ash. A system prompt sounded, announcing my record would be displayed on the rankings for a day. To avoid unwanted attention, I chose to hide part of my information. At last, I obtained the Crimson Core Essence, which granted me at least 12 bonus points. Each level up only gave 3, so this was equal to 4 levels worth. Among the first 50 floors, it was the most valuable gear. Without hesitation, I swallowed it, and pure life energy spread through my body, washing away all fatigue. Eagerly, I opened my player stats to confirm the bonus. Though I was still level 1, I already had 12 bonus points, making me the strongest existence in this stage. My next destination was the museum, the place with the greatest number of treasures. In this world, the Tower of Trials extended its magic across Earth. While most people remained unaffected, one thing had changed drastically. Antiques outside the tower had turned into relics. They weren't true relics, those with world-destroying power were all inside the tower, but these were copies. The museum, storing the most relics, was like a treasure vault. The problem was, countless others had their eyes on it. Unlike the Crimson Trees, which had several locations in the city, The museum was one of a kind, drawing treasure seekers from everywhere, including powerful veterans. Soon, I reached the museum, and the system confirmed I had entered a treasure zone. The place was quieter than I expected, until I stumbled upon a charred corpse, proof that someone had beaten me there. The reality was harsher than I imagined. In just one day, people were already willing to kill. Those who came here must be after the Grand Treasure Map. This map records information related to the Tower of Trials, where labyrinths and ruins are located, even equipment and monsters, all written clearly. That's why it became the treasure countless players dream of, but the information on it is limited to the first 10 floors. At this moment on the second floor of the museum, a group of people fought fiercely for the last item. Then a burly man appeared and blocked them, threatening that whoever dared to move would die. But here, no one was scared by such threats. Instead, someone wanted to smash his head. The burly man angrily clashed his fists together, muttering that they wouldn't appreciate kindness. As soon as the words fell, his sleeves burst apart, and his arms were covered with rocky hammers. A young man grew fearful at the sight, knowing the burly man had already awakened an innate ability. The murderous aura around him became almost tangible. The map is mine. Whoever blocks me dies. You say the map is yours? I don't agree with that. Suddenly, an old man staggered forward. The burly man sneered that crushing such an old man would be easier than opening a bottle cap. The old man smiled, stuck out his tongue, and said, "Then let's see who's faster." As soon as the words fell, he flicked his finger, summoning a flame. He blew gently on it, and the flame shot forward like a sharp sword, engulfing the burly man. Flames erupted from his 7 orifices, and within 2.5 seconds, he was reduced to charcoal. Only the golden necklace on his neck remained intact. The old man even scolded him, saying, "Young man, in your next life learn to respect the elderly and love the young, and don't bring fire upon yourself." Just then, his teammate Robert Lee arrived, saying, "Leave the rest to me." He placed an Anubis statue on the ground, infused it with mana, and ordered it to wipe out all obstacles. The statue lit up crimson and transformed into a large black dog marked with golden lines. Smiling at the crowd, Robert said, "Will you hand over your things, or must I do it myself?" Seeing so many experts awakened, the crowd surrendered. I calmly walked past them, looking around until I found the sacred relic, thankfully undamaged. Seeing this, Robert's face turned cold. "Anubis, kill him." At his command, the Anubis beast raised its spear and hurled it at me. I didn't move, simply swatting the spear aside with one hand. Robert was shocked, completely caught off guard. I smiled and said softly, "Looks like your little dog just lost its only weapon." Panicking, Robert rummaged through his bag and pulled out 4 more Anubis statues. The awakened beasts formed a shield around him like bodyguards. I smirked, admitting he had some skill, being able to control 5 beasts with so little mana. And that old man earlier, truly unexpected. None of them were novices anymore. I then pulled out the relic I had just obtained. As I infused mana into the relic of the pine tiger, a majestic tiger manifested. "Go. Desert jackals dare to bare their fangs before a mountain lord." I pointed forward, ordering, "Tear them all apart." The tiger roared and pounced. The Anubis beasts howled in reply, but the tiger's claws came crashing down, crushing one skull instantly. Like a true predator, it rampaged through the beasts, devouring them one by one. In no time, all were slain. Robert was terrified, trembling at the sight. He had never seen a relic used this way, and the tiger's oppressive aura felt like it would tear his skin apart. He collapsed to the ground, realizing the statues weren't the strongest relics after all. I walked up to him and said, "Now hand over Tutankhamun's mask." After the tiger had its friendly chat, I obtained the replica of Tutankhamun's mask, giving me 2 relics. I ordered the tiger to guard the place, letting no one follow. Then I turned toward the Tower of Trial's strongest skill. Silently, I appeared beside the old man, studying the barrier before us. He was startled, wondering how I had made it here. Had Robert been defeated? I ignored his thoughts, only analyzing the barrier. It was a 1-star barrier, something I'd never seen before. The old man warned that neither magic nor physical attacks would work on it. I replied that I had a way to break it, but under one condition. He must keep casting fire magic to weaken it until I retrieved the relic inside. After thinking, he agreed, not wanting to leave empty-handed after all this trouble. He roared, flames surging from his hands, striking the barrier until it cracked open. I seized the chance and slipped through. Unlike the second floor, this place was untouched, except for an iron sword marked with a stegosaurus, already taken. So someone else had been here and set this barrier. But even he didn't realize the sword was just a second-rate relic. This pendant of universal coin could forge my unique ability, the final piece for the ultimate skill. Along with the Persian mold and the right eye of Tutankhamun's mask, merging them would create the SS-grade Eye of Truth. It could open other players' status windows, expose forged records, and be used 3 times a day. There were 5 such eyes in the world, but the Eye of Truth was the strongest. With the relics fused, I completed a hidden quest and gained the tower's strongest skill, fusion, becoming my unique ability. By completing specific tasks, I could copy other players' innate skills and abilities, storing them in world memory, and fuse them into stronger powers. Outside, the old man grew exhausted, urging me to hurry. Perfect timing. I wanted to test copying abilities. The system revealed the old man lived behind a mask, hiding his emotions. To copy him, I only needed to draw out his true feelings, simply make him angry. I told him he could stop now, that he never needed to keep casting. Confused, he asked why. I shouted "Car," and instantly, the barrier before him shattered. That single word was the spell to unlock it. The reason I kept making him use his skills was to drain his mana. Now the old man's mana is nearly exhausted. To further enrage him, I directly burned the Big East fish map he had been desperately searching for. I can't let anyone threaten my advantage. This act completely drove the old man insane. You damned brat, I'll kill you. The man obtained the eye of truth that could peer into all souls. But the first thing I did with it was peer into the mind of an 80-year-old man. Because my innate ability is copy. After completing a specific task, I can temporarily obtain other players' innate skills. But the condition for copying is forcing the opponent to reveal their true heart. The mission looked difficult, but really, it just meant provoking the other side. So I interrupted him directly, making him stop using his skills. The old man was very puzzled, not knowing what I meant. Didn't you just tell me to keep using my skills? For this question, I didn't answer. I just used a spell to cancel the barrier. After all, the old man's mana was almost gone. At this point, he posed no threat to me. My next move was to anger him, so I used a lighter to burn the map I had promised to give him. This made the old man furious, saying I would pay the price. As soon as he finished, a fireball condensed in his palm. But I only smiled faintly, because I had already met the condition for copying the skill. And I didn't intend to hide it. In the next moment, flames formed in both of my hands. The old man jumped in shock. He never expected my awakened skill to be identical to his, but with vastly greater power. My fireball was obviously much larger than his. From this alone, he realized I was no ordinary person and had no need for things like maps. I spoke slowly to him. If you want to climb the tower smoothly from now on, you'll have to listen to me. 10 minutes later, I left the museum in high spirits. This time, including me, 4 powerhouses had arrived. I had already subdued 2 of them. As long as I proceeded steadily and gathered more skills, sooner or later I would become the strongest in this world. But right now, the most important thing was to fill my stomach first. So I went to the nearest restaurant. But I noticed everyone was staring at the TV in front of them. It was broadcasting today's news. The report was about the museum incident. According to the police, at least 23 people died in the accident. The motive was stealing relics protected inside the museum. At the same time, similar cases appeared in museums all around the world. They even broadcasted surveillance footage from inside. But in the video, my figure was still blurred. Yet even so, someone recognized me, which was troubling. I never thought I could still be identified like that. Looks like I'll need a way to hide my identity. The news soon turned to the main point. The government had formed a special organization to recruit more awakened to conquer the Tower of Trials. I didn't take this to heart. But after finishing lunch, I changed into new clothes and went to the Tower of Trials. The environment inside was exactly like when I used to play before. Even the rules were basically the same. The system gave each new player 100 coins, the currency of the tower. Every player could upload their battle videos to earn coins. Every 100,000 views gave 100 coins of income. But different levels of players had to pay different fees. For viewers outside the tower, their first click on a video would be counted toward its total views. In addition, players could only use the livestream function when fighting the boss guarding the next floor. If a player was reported for faking views or other violations, the system would punish them accordingly. This was especially important, because the broadcast system was the only bridge between tower climbers and ordinary people outside. The higher a player's chance of clearing the tower, the more fans they had. And the higher the views, the more coins they earned. In my opinion, this system was the most interesting part of the Tower of Trials. The bigger a player's reputation, the more coins they got. As I was still thinking, the other players couldn't wait to raid the Goblin Cave and upload their runs for coins. I didn't rush to compete with them, since I knew the game inside out. Getting coins was never a problem for me. If I revealed my secrets just to earn some coins through clicks, it would be a huge loss. As for my first step, I had already decided on a path completely different from everyone else's. Long ago, when I was trying to clear the 30th floor of the tower, I hit a dead end. To advance, I turned the lower dozens of floors upside down, desperately collecting hidden information fragments. I carefully reviewed every path I had taken. Finally, I found the answer in some ruins. Only then did I realize my character had been wrong from the very start. That was the result of all my searching through the lower floors. The character I had trained for years was doomed from the beginning. So without hesitation, I deleted the character and started over. This time, I vowed to reach the end. Thinking back on that oath, I sighed at how fast time had passed. What amazed me most was that today, I actually stood in the labyrinth called Labyrinthus. After all, the key to clearing the 30th floor was building a solid foundation. and the key to the third floor was hidden inside this labyrinthous maze. But I couldn't feel happy. It was like being drafted into the army again. Although reluctant, I still activated it and slowly pushed open the door, ready to face the challenge. But to my surprise, as soon as I entered the labyrinth, several strangers followed behind me. The woman in front greeted me first, saying they were looking for the hunting grounds, but since this labyrinth's door wasn't closed, they just walked in. Just minutes ago, they had guessed I was an old tower player, so they planned to secretly follow me. But they hadn't expected my first move after entering the tower to be going straight into the labyrinth. That made them hesitate, unsure if they should continue. While they hesitated, Lucy urged them to join me, reminding them to think. Don't you know how important the early stages of the tower are? Since this labyrinth doesn't even need a key to open, its difficulty can't be that high. But soon, someone asked a question. Will that guy really just? Will you share the equipment with us? But the girl gave a sly smile. Of course not. So we must trap him in the labyrinth forever. I had obtained the true eye that could see into every soul. Yet this girl in front of me still dared to play tricks. Without the slightest hesitation, I immediately activated the true eye. The next second, her information panel appeared before my eyes. Her skill bar held 3 abilities. The one that interested me most was empathy. It allowed her to naturally grow close with strangers. If that was true, then maybe it could be useful against that woman later. So I set my sights on copying it. But the conditions were harsh. I had to act together with Hannah Park for at least 240 hours. And at the final moment, no one else could be with us. The group casually greeted me, saying it was their first time playing this game and hoped the veteran would cut them some slack. I readily agreed. I didn't remember any of their names anyway. Since I planned to stab them in the back later, there was no need. Among them, Hannah Park clung to my arm and asked how many floors I had reached in Tower of Lost Love before. Secretly, she activated the empathy skill, trying to make me like her. But since I already knew, I pushed her away at once and gave a perfunctory answer. This left her puzzled. The skill had activated, so why did I react like this? She quickly changed the subject, asking what kind of monsters lived in this labyrinth and their traits. I didn't hide it and explained that the labyrinth would shift positions after a certain time. But before I finished, the whole labyrinth shook violently. Everyone was injured in the chaos. When they regained their senses, they noticed one companion was gone, me. I dusted off my clothes and asked in confusion, had they really never played a labyrinth that could shift terrain? At that moment, they had no mood to answer, only to escape. But one girl's face turned pale, for when the terrain shifted, her ability had been cancelled. Hearing this, Hannah Park's expression darkened. Without that ability, they would never find the exit. I realized why they had entered so confidently. Someone had a navigation skill. While I stood aside, they turned their anger on me, blaming me for not warning them, which led to their current plight. I didn't hold back and pointed out the truth. Was I the one who told you to follow me here? My words struck a nerve with the blonde, who instantly pulled out his weapon, ready to attack me. But the next moment, he was cleaved in two by a sudden strike. The others went pale and screamed. A horned monster burst from the labyrinth. It was a minotaur. Hannah Park thought they were doomed. But I dashed forward. They were confused, thinking I sought death. Yet I dodged the minotaur's strike with ease. In doing so, I gained the hidden skill gap. When a player fought a far stronger foe, gap could shrink the difference in power. Conversely, when fighting weaker foes, it expanded the gap. Every 3 points of gap reduced the difference by 1 level. This was my goal here, using it to grow quickly from level 1. I had discovered this only after countless trials. By now, I had fought this beast thousands of times, my body memorizing every move. As a result, I easily dodged each strike, rapidly leveling up gap. But then I saw them trying to slip away while I held the boss. I appeared beside them and asked where they thought they were going. Hannah Park jumped in fright, glancing back at the minotaur swinging its massive axe. It was in a frenzy. I mocked them, saying if they wanted experience points, they should join me. As soon as I spoke, the minotaur's attack struck. Of the group, only the red-haired one survived thanks to luck and my help. The rest, including Hannah Park, were slain instantly. At that moment, the labyrinth shifted again. I waved cheerfully at the minotaur, saying, "See you next time." My reaction was opposite theirs, for they collapsed helplessly. I told them I had touched a glow moth, whose scent would keep attracting the minotaur. It would come again. Hannah Park couldn't understand why I would do that. Was I crazy? Obviously not. I wanted to increase my rewards. Still, I reassured them. During each labyrinth shift, we could rest and recover. If we endured a month, we could leave. Hearing this, the survivors wanted to split from me. If they weren't near me, the beast wouldn't chase them. I nodded, but warned them. Wandering blindly was far more dangerous. They gulped nervously but insisted, asking if I knew the exit's location. I said they could rest assured. I knew better than anyone. Of course I knew the exit. But nothing in this world was free. Even buses cost money. So hand over your coins, and maybe I'll save your lives. Meanwhile, outside the labyrinth, a man had just cleared the goblin nest dungeon. His time set a new solo record. Many viewers flooded the comments begging him to carry them. The video quickly went viral, gaining over 1 million views. Excited at his success, the man couldn't believe his plan worked. His companions clap happily, knowing the video earned them 1,000 coins. Their leader modestly said it was thanks to everyone, for without their careful movement, he couldn't have done it. They would definitely notice the problem, but the man had barely celebrated when their video ranking was overtaken. When the man learned of this, his face darkened instantly, and he rushed over to check. He discovered it was actually the world's first enhanced overtime equipment, which to him seemed utterly impossible. Just 10 minutes earlier, I had sent the two away to work further out while I opened the exchange, intending to buy something with coins. After some searching, I quickly confirmed several items: the cursed tarot card, a fragment of a broken bronze key, a piece of a wooden wheel, and enhancement manuals with pills. Without hesitation, I bought them, since they were dirt cheap, trash nobody wanted. The key was how to use them. I decisively combined the 3 items, and soon a blue light appeared, followed by a ding. The system panel notified me, "Congratulations, player, for successfully fusing Fortune as Wheel of Fate. It can raise your luck to its maximum for 10 minutes. Seeing the golden artifact before me, I couldn't help but smirk. Success on the first try. Luck is limited. If you don't know its cap, all that fortune becomes useless. But I knew exactly where the limit was, something I'd never forget, so I activated the item without hesitation. After maxing out my luck, I pulled out the enhancement manual I'd just bought. Its success rate was only 0.00012, but with full luck, my chance was now 100%. The item I chose to enhance was my short sword. The system notified me, "Congratulations, you have created the server's first legendary weapon. You've earned 5,000 coins, and your achievement will be displayed on tomorrow's ranking board for 1 day." I didn't care much. I casually swung the weapon, found it felt good in my hand, and finally smiled. At last, I had a weapon worth using. Over the next few days, the two acted like beaten dogs, their spirit broken, since Mitronos kept chasing them at certain times, making survival through the shifting maze nearly impossible. They struggled to stay alive, while I adapted with ease. The two couldn't accept it, realizing they would surely die if this continued. They used the system panel to request help from allies outside, asking them to dig up information about me, but the answers left Paul and Nora disappointed. They no longer pinned hopes on others and asked if their situation had been reported to Nora's brother and what the Raven Guild said. The news wasn't good. It would take at least 3 weeks to reach Paul and Nora. Hearing this crushed their spirits. How could they survive 3 weeks, when even one was doubtful? Their comrades asked again about the guild's response. After learning it would take so long, they thought of a desperate plan: join forces to kill me, hide in the food cache they'd found, and hold out until Nora's brother arrived. That way, they might escape alive. But how could they kill me with my terrifying strength? "That's easy. Attack when he sleeps," one suggested, picking up a stone to smash my skull. But as he raised it, Nora grabbed his hand. "His reflexes are like a monster's. If we strike, he'll retaliate instantly." "Then what do you suggest? We can't just let him control us forever." Nora searched her bag. Her brother had given her something for emergencies, the Hurricane Venom Fang. 1 drop could kill instantly. If we do this, we finish it for good. He won't resist. The next morning, they planned to poison my breakfast. But when I looked at the fried mushrooms in front of me, I had no appetite. Nora mocked me, saying, "What else is there to eat here? Catch bats or moths?" Resigned, I asked Origami to fetch more mushrooms and moss, and requested Nora's water. Origami was puzzled but still scooped me another portion. I prepared to eat as Nora muttered about how I acted like royalty, needing so much service. When they saw me eat, they finally relaxed, until the next moment, when a plate clattered to the ground. But the poisoned victim wasn't me. It was Origami, Nora's companion. He struggled briefly before collapsing, face blackened. I sneered, "Idiots. Did you really think I'd blindly eat your food? While I distracted you, I swapped the plates." What shocked me most was that they had dared to secretly stream live, a clear violation. Nora tried to argue, asking for proof, but I simply read aloud the stream feature description and opened the report channel. The system warned me, if no violation is found, the reporter will be punished. "Do you wish to continue?" I smirked and reminded Nora to control her expressions better during streams. It was too obvious. "If this is all you've got, I'll be disappointed." Then I selected yes. A red frame appeared beside Nora, scanning and projecting her stream. 10 viewers were watching live. I grinned darkly. They'd pay for this. Soon, they were forced out of chat and punished. All viewers were banned from watching streams for a month. Repeat offenders would be permanently expelled from the game. Nora was left in shock, asking where everyone had gone. As for her punishment, the system assigned an extremely cruel fate. The sentence had barely been delivered when Mitronos emerged from behind, his eyes blazing red as he charged. Terrified, Nora instantly hid behind me. He asked me if I was still going to fight him and where I should hide this time. Looking at his shameless face, I couldn't help but snap back, asking why I should tell him. But he seemed confused, saying I had always told him before. "Sorry, that was then, but now you're useless. because just now I fulfilled the condition to copy and successfully replicated the resonance skill. My answer completely broke Noah Park, who shouted that I would regret it, since his brother was part of the Raven Guild. I ignored him, leaping aside to dodge the attack, then drew the enhanced short sword and struck hard at Mithranos. But my damage was still too shallow, failing to wound him. Fortunately, at least the slash cut into his body, making the gap worth it. Since I couldn't kill him yet, I had to make him fall into a weakened state, so I slashed at his legs to bring him down. He didn't collapse fully, only dropped to one knee. Seeing this familiar scene, I knew he was about to reveal his trump card. The next second, his eyes glowed red. Mithranos had activated Berserk LV-10. This drove Noah Park into despair, convinced no one could ever defeat such a monster. Berserk boosted all of Mithranos' stats and even gave him temporary intelligence, allowing him to speak. But I ignored his words, instead praising his improved mana efficiency and declaring he was now worthy to face me. With that, I launched into battle against Mithranos. No matter how he attacked, every strike was blocked, leaving Noah Park stunned that I didn't dodge but clashed head-on with every blow. This was a boss monster with skills beyond level 10, something the entire Raven Guild couldn't handle, yet I fought it evenly, and worst of all, I was smiling. Was I even human? Soon, Mithranos' Berserk reached its limit. His fist froze midair, unable to move. I knew well the side effect. He would fall into a false death state for 24 hours. I calmly opened my status window and saw I had gained 17 points of gap, enough to close 19 levels. With 20 days left, I could easily reach 100 points. At that moment, Noah Park peeked out and asked if it was over. Don't celebrate too early, I warned. He's only temporarily dead. By tomorrow he'll be back, and this cycle will last at least 20 days. During that time, I fought Mithranos daily, raising my gap, until finally, at 100, I could land real blows. Now only one issue remained: what to do with Noah Park. I asked if he wanted to join our company, since we were recruiting in turns. His unwilling expression angered me, and I thought he wasn't interested. Terrified, he immediately put on his best performance to appease me, but I pressed harder, asking what he could actually contribute. Without real ability, I'd have to announce regretfully that he failed our first internship recruitment. This frightened him into tears, and he quickly offered me Brahm's ring, something his brother had traded dearly for. Surprised, I hadn't expected Brahm's ring to end up in the Raven Guild's hands. It was one of the strongest floor 1 items, boosting speed, resistance, and suppressing monster mana. To confirm he wasn't lying, I used the Eye of Truth. Once verified, I patted his shoulder and told him he was now an intern of our company, but he'd get no pay, must answer my call anytime, anywhere, and most importantly, sign a contract. I then fused the resonance skill with Fire Element to forge the Soulbrand Mark, an A-rank ability. Whoever bore it must obey me absolutely or be consumed by flames. Grabbing Noah Park's arm, I warned it would hurt, then branded him before leaving the labyrinth. The system announced my record would be displayed tomorrow, and each labyrinth clearer received 5,000 coins. Before Noah Park could celebrate, I demanded his coins, bringing my total over 10,000. Likely no other player had as many. I then ordered him to deliver Brahm's ring within 3 days. No, make it 2. Terrified by the Soulbrand's flare, he swore he'd manage it. Returning to reality, I saw the news. The nation's top guild, Vanguard, declared they would raid the 3rd floor boss in 1 week. The world pinned hopes on them, especially as other nations struggled. But to attempt the 3rd floor within a month? Too reckless, perhaps fatally so. Still, I understood. They wanted to seize the tower's resources first. Yet each floor allowed 90 days. In other words, right now forget about the 3rd floor. There isn't even a need to attack the 2nd floor. If you don't lay a solid foundation and just rush to raise the difficulty, then at the moment you hit a wall, you'll be crushed instantly by the overwhelming pressure. Because in the face of death, humans only get one chance to challenge. To get high-quality information in this place full of rumors and false news, you need a few reliable and trustworthy people. Are the only channels I know and trust really just those guys? Soon, I found them in the Tower of Trials community and set up an offline meeting. One thing really surprised me though: everyone looked a bit different from their in-game avatars. So I activated the Eye of Truth to check their levels and innate abilities. Among them, Thomas Lee had already reached level 11, and this time he chose the same as before, the Mechanical Monarch. Aside from consuming more mana, this innate ability was flawless, especially in large-scale battles. Meanwhile, Ryan Liu had reached level 12 with 4,775 coins, almost twice as many as Thomas. He chose Matrix Taekwondo, an innate ability good for close-range defense and damage output. Judging from their levels, it seemed they had been moving together recently. If I wanted to copy, I would just need to reach the 20th floor with Thomas Lee and Ryan Liu to replicate their abilities. Seeing me stay silent, Thomas spoke up first, asking what I did in real life. I felt awkward, not sure how to answer, since the username I picked years ago was so embarrassing. After some hesitation, I finally said I was 27 this year and used to be a streamer on Color TV. That really surprised Thomas. He didn't expect I had been a streamer. I only smiled a little. Yes, before, but not anymore. Thomas waved his hand, telling me to speak more casually. After all, we'd met countless times in the game. There was no need to be so formal. Ryan Liu agreed, saying it would make things more comfortable. Watching this, I couldn't help but sigh. Their friendliness was something else. Until now, the people around me had always been the kind trying secretly to kill me, and I was tired of that life. Even though today was our first proper meeting, I felt at ease. Just like that, Thomas and Ryan told me everything that had happened outside while I was inside the labyrinth. I also learned about the movements of guilds worldwide, the activities of famous streamers, and a group exploiting people to fuel coin factories. Thomas was curious if I hadn't taken the test yet, since I'd been stuck in one place all month. That caught me off guard. I didn't even know what test he meant. So I got into a cab with them to head for the destination. On the way, Thomas explained that after the Tower of Trials appeared, people rushed in like crazy. But starting from the second floor, casualties skyrocketed, so the Awakeners Association set a restriction. Only those who passed the test could enter. Sitting in the back, Ryan even raised his right hand to show me the kind of marking code they used. That made me think deeply. The association's president, Samuel Han, was probably using the excuse of reducing casualties to gather hidden powerhouses. If that's the case, I should make good use of the system they created. Turns out, since the Awakeners Association took over, anyone ranked below S-Class wasn't even allowed to climb to the second floor. On the other hand, players who received a higher rank instantly got invitations from the officials and top guilds. So the people gathered at the testing grounds could be divided into 3 groups, those desperate just to qualify for the tower, hoping even an F rank would do, those predicting which guild the next A rank would join to gain attention, and those publicly announcing players' rankings. Among them, Hannah Park was quite famous, since she had come out alive from the labyrinth. But because the crowd here was too large, the Samurai Guild was very displeased. Now any random cat or dog could come to the test. Nearby, Jason Park looked helpless, probably because too many people dreamed of getting rich overnight. Reporters were also waiting. They couldn't just stand around for hours. I came here today for you siblings, so perform well. If you mess up, you know what happens. Both quickly nodded, promising not to worry and that they'd do their best. Then the bodyguards cleared the way to let the 3 pass. But during this, 3 people completely ignored it and kept chatting among themselves. This angered the bodyguard, who pointed at me and cursed, asking what was wrong with me and if I hadn't heard him say move. I was confused. I was just waiting for my number, so why should I move? Seeing this, Jason Park grew furious, shoved the bodyguard aside, and tried to deal with me himself, poking my chest as he spoke. I don't know who you are, but you're in trouble now. If you back off quietly, it's still not too late. The crowd was drawn in. Did that guy just stand up to Jason Park? Was he insane, looking for death? I activated the Eye of Truth and saw that even though he was only level 8, his skills weren't bad. The condition to copy was simple. Just raise his hostility toward me to the maximum, then I could copy any one of his skills. That delighted me. It was surprisingly easy this time, practically free. And he didn't even realize the seriousness of the situation, still poking my chest and provoking me, saying not to think that just because people were watching, he wouldn't dare act. This caught Hannah Park's attention, but when she saw my face, her expression turned pale with fear, speechless. Jason hadn't noticed his sister's reaction yet and kept cursing me madly, unaware that I was already smiling. The next moment, I grabbed one of his fingers and snapped it, making him scream in pain. I calmly sipped some water, giving him a moment to react, then reset the bone. Right after, he launched an attack on me, even reaching for his blade. The onlookers gasped, afraid they'd get caught in it. But before they could react, they saw Jason clutching his right leg, screaming in agony, while Hannah trembled in the crowd. I felt deeply puzzled, not knowing why I appeared here. Just then, Henry Kim of the Samurai Guild stepped in to break up the fight, telling me to stop. But I ignored him and immediately activated the Eye of Truth, wanting to check his level. To my surprise, the skill failed, because the gap between us exceeded a certain threshold. That meant he was at least level 20. But I still wasn't worried, even mocking him as just a bodyguard. He didn't deny it. Although this guy was indeed a bit troublesome, I couldn't get rid of him yet. He was still useful to me. If I wasn't mistaken, you mean Park Ha-jin, the one who provided encouraging life to Grace Nation? This shocked Lee Tai-Ki, his expression slightly changing, clearly not expecting me to know this. And hiding behind the crowd, Park Ha-rene also froze, since she had been the one who leaked it. Could she not be nervous? But I didn't expose her, only pushed him to ask a more meaningful question, like what was the side effect of encouraging life and how to cure it. My arrogant attitude pushed Lee Tai-Ki to the limit, and he directly activated his skill, casting a dark eye barrier that separated me from the onlookers. Outside the barrier, no one could see or hear what happened inside unless Lee Tai-Ki lifted the skill. Inside, I looked around curiously while making my demand. 10 dungeons exclusively owned by their guild in exchange. But Lee Tai-Ki said, how could he know I wasn't lying? So I explained, encouraging life was a practical equipment, excellent for restoring stamina and mana, but overuse caused mana poisoning as a side effect. And you're all suffering from it now, aren't you? Actually, solving it isn't hard. Just 3 items are needed, the Moonstone of Karan, and most importantly, Mandrake Root. I didn't know about the others, but I knew exactly where to find the Mandrake Root. You must be desperate since you couldn't locate it. Now do you believe me? My words made Lee Taikei sweat cold, shocked that what I said matched exactly what the explorers had reported. He couldn't help but wonder what kind of person I really was, why I knew everything. Finally, he agreed to my deal but warned me not to play tricks or else. When he pointed his weapon at me, my face darkened instantly, and I said nothing more. He clearly hadn't realized the seriousness of the situation, still hesitating that the price of 10 core guild-exclusive dungeons was too outrageous. He decided not to negotiate further. But the next second, his weapon was cut in two by me. With a smile, I reminded him not to misunderstand. The one giving him a chance was me. Outside the barrier, chaos erupted, and when I stepped out and saw the scene, I didn't hesitate. My two allies rushed over, asking if I was okay, swearing they'd crush the enemy with just one word from me. I waved them off, telling them to calm down, since he was easier to handle than expected. On the other side, Park Ho-jung was furious and couldn't understand why Lee Taikei let those brats go. He begged for another chance, saying he could finish them. But Lee Taikei grabbed him by the neck, saying a guy like you will never be his opponent. Cause more trouble, and you'll regret it. Facing death, Park Ho-jung panicked and quickly admitted he understood. Only then did Lee Taikei let him go. But he was still seething, not knowing what happened inside the barrier that left him so humiliated. Watching his angry face, I couldn't help but smile with satisfaction, because I had just met the condition to copy his Earth-level skill. Despite the murmurs around me, I didn't care and continued on to witness their so-called test. It was simple. Strike the magic crystal in front of you, with all equipment and skills allowed, since the test measured the potential power of your strike. When the tester saw me pull out a short sword, he chuckled, thinking I wouldn't use special abilities but just brute force. After I confirmed it, he asked if I was ready. I walked straight to the largest platinum crystal, planning to use that for the test. This baffled him, thinking I had walked to the wrong place, and he pointed to the regular magic crystal to remind me. But when I refused, he reluctantly activated the ultimate crystal. Normally, no one could pass this level, but I wanted to test the strength I had built in the labyrinth. When I swung down, the blade cut the ultimate crystal clean in half. The tester's jaw dropped, unable to believe it. Most people couldn't even meet the mana requirement, failing instantly. He had never seen anyone split the entire platinum crystal. He didn't even know how to grade me, but finally gave me an S rank, since it was the highest here. Then he told me to wait while he reported to his superiors. But I stopped him, ordering him to delay the report for a week. He was confused, not knowing what I meant. I gave no explanation, just said it was personal. After a week, he could say whatever he wanted. When he still tried to speak, I pulled out my dagger and reasoned with him. The fist nearby is scarier than the law far away. Leaving the test room, I saw Park Ho-jung waiting, which surprised me. He went straight to the point and handed me a ring, saying this was what I wanted. Taking it, I teased him that it hadn't even been 2 days since we last met. As for Park Ho-jung's request, I waved it off, saying it depended on future performance. When the two heard I was only S rank, their jaws dropped, thinking the tester had made a mistake. But I told them not to be surprised. It was only a temporary rank, and in a week, I'd be tested again. For now, it was time to split up and act separately. Keep climbing the tower. Don't worry about me. I'll contact you soon. And the content of the second round test is also very simple. You just need to clear a dungeon in the trial tower. Since there are no difficulty limits, players usually choose dungeons with goblins or orcs. But the place I'm heading to is the only ruin on the first floor. Whether it was 11 years ago when the trial tower went online, or now when it has become reality, it has always been considered an untouchable forbidden zone. This ruin lies in the mountainous region of the first floor of the Tower of Trials. Even as an S rank, I still can't enter this ruin alone, because the guild ruling over this ruin would never let me go. So I registered as a porter and successfully sneaked in. During this process, another worker chatted with me, asking why I came to such a place. I casually made up an excuse, saying I was forced by life. Unexpectedly, he said the same thing. He even introduced me to his family. Not only did he have a beautiful wife, but also 2 adorable children like little rabbits. He came here just to feed them. But I couldn't help sweating for this uncle. You're basically setting up a death flag right in front of me. Don't let it actually come true later. The uncle also reminded me to be very careful. For people like us porters, a single mistake could cost us our heads. Since machines can't be activated here, even ambulances can't get inside. I told the uncle not to worry. At least everyone in this team will make it home safely. After all, I do have that bit of information.